call. Here. Tiffin, here. Marsh, here. Kurt. Oh, here. Ani, here. Roots, here. Shorty, here. Meyer, here. All right, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, looking at today's agenda, any discussion or additions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for the approval of today's agenda. Any discussion? Motion for approval by Marsh, second by Ani. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. All right, we are going to start. We had one person submit some public comment today. So we will begin with that. So Ms. Healy. Green light. All right.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I just wanted to share some of my experience with the second chance display, and that may not, second chance or.
Did you mention her name, or do you want me to continue to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
I guess I did say Miss Healy, but if you don't mind introducing yourself, then
Sure, I could have thought of that, sorry. I'm Ruth Healy, I'm a citizen of Dickinson. The second chance display, those books which are potentially to be weeded, and I had an experience with it. I went and I looked at the books, and I was surprised there were so many really nice books there. They were in good condition. They were there were a number of interesting things there, and that got me to thinking. I'm like, why if they're being weeded are there so many fine books? And I think that sometimes it just makes some questions in my mind. Thinking about our society and how more is very important in our society right now, having more choices, more availability, more variety. And I think what I was thinking about is that sometimes do we possibly get overloaded and fail to see the things that are there, and that we don't have an opportunity to fully interact with the materials. And I will start to wonder, are there ways that maybe, and maybe it goes to a situation where a person might want to think about the quantity that's ordered, but then also, which might allow us to be freed up in order to promote the materials that we have, perhaps sometimes even more effectively. And I know that you've been working on policies around displays, and I'm sure that now that that's in place, that will offer you more opportunities to do that. But I started to think, well, the books that don't get attention, the orphan books, end up being weeded, that's a loss of resources in a sense, because then they have to be shipped off to other libraries, or to be resold or what have you, and that of course creates additional cost and resources for everyone in some ways. And so I was just wondering if maybe when we think about policies around ordering for the library, our collection policies, thinking about, would it be an idea to take an ordering holiday at times, or to say, I'm going to put so and so much in my cart, and then I'm going to, look and say, and look it over again and say, is there 10% that could go back that I really, maybe could wait on, think about? It's just some thinking in order so that some of these really good books that aren't getting noticed have a chance to be noticed and utilized, and these authors can be read. So, do you have any questions for me or clarifications of anything?
I appreciate you coming in and saying that, because that's a different insight, a different perspective that I hadn't really thought about, although I had wanted to figure out how we can limit some of the stuff that's coming in, or the amount of things, just because of budget restraints, and that there are, that other material is getting looked at, because it's not so inundated with the new material that it's getting looked over. I appreciate your insight, Ruth.
Thank you.
Agreed. I think the work that we're doing with like the display policy, for example, I know after seeing your email when you submitted, thinking of like what I do, you know, in my daily job, a lot of those books I go, well, why hasn't this been checked out in a while? It turns into a front-facing display, you know, before we consider it for something like weeding. And so hopefully with the work that we're, you know, doing with those policies can bring some extra light into some of the materials.
And I think, you know, they're keeping things fresh and new, and that's important. And weeding is important. I'm not saying we shouldn't weed, because absolutely there are things that become dead weight in the library, and you need to be able to bring in materials that are relevant to what people are looking for and need. And so it's just always finding the balance. So
Thank you for making the time and sharing your thoughts today.
thank you.
Jen, can you remind me, so every single book in the library, before it is technically weeded from our collection, it will hit that second chance display, or only certain things?
So generally, if an item is being weeded on condition, it won't hit a second chance display. Otherwise, we try to get as much of that out there as we can. If it's being removed because it has fallen apart or it's dirty or something happened to it along those lines, it won't hit a display.
Sure, and then how long does it sit on that display?
Those displays tend to run between 1 and 2 weeks.
Is that 1 to 2 weeks? We didn't write a policy about the second chance display, did we? It was just something we implemented.
No, it's just something we've kind of discussed and given a shot to see if we could give these folks a hand. And it's not really a unique thing. Even before we had a second chance display outlined as that, we often go through and do displays for items that haven't circulated in a while, or even things that are not in the middle view, which tends to hurt their circulation. It's on the very bottom shelf, or the very top shelf. Often an item won't get checked out, so we will often try to target displays of just some things in those areas so folks have an opportunity to see them when they might not.
I'm wondering, just because it's not like a technical policy, that 1 to 2 weeks, if we could possibly extend it, and if that would help what Ruth addressed, it gives people more time before that book is actually gone.
It's definitely something we could explore. Right now we only have the one display, and so that is also limiting us a little bit. Because if we want to put anything else up on display, we only have the one space in which to do it. So some more display space. It would be neat to be able to have something like that kind of on a longer term rotating basis in its own display space. Just kind of throwing that out there as a possibility.
All right, well, on to our library director's report.
As you can see, there has been a lot going on. I will start with expansion news because I'm sure everybody is curious. A quick thank you to the library board members who were able to attend the pre-construction meeting with J.B. Dunn. I hope it was informative. I appreciated having you guys there. As you can see, demolition is already underway. We are waiting to get some additional updates as to what we should expect for those timelines. That meeting is still to be set by J.B. Dunn. As you can see, we're already working through the lobby. That space is now blocked off. They are working on pulling up tile, getting all of that ready for us. I unfortunately don't have more information on this far as their process goes right now. I know soon we will be seeing some work happen in the courtyard. They haven't given me any more exact dates. We are seeing exactly what they told us to expect at that last meeting, which was work here in the foyer. So it is progressing. So far, so good. Apologies for the noise to our across the street neighbors. I'm sure that's not the nicest. Hopefully it gets a little bit quieter as we start moving along. The other big thing that we are dealing with right now, as you've seen, heard, and probably viewed through our social media, is the situation in the basement. We have cut out about 2 feet of drywall around most of the basement where the water infiltrated, just to be sure that we captured all the mold. When we moved shelves, we did find some, so trying to be extra certain we got all that. So we're going to be replacing that drywall. The basement is going to be repainted after all of that is taking place. Trim has to be replaced. Unfortunately, due to the water and just the general heat in the building at that time, we found mold on a lot of it after we pulled it off the wall. Even in that really short time, it's disappointing. We are working hard to get that back up and running. We are very hopeful that within the next few weeks we will be able to open access back up to the basement to the public. Unfortunately, the closure has lasted much longer than we would have hoped, but we are trying to make sure that everybody is safe and everything is done correctly, so it has taken a little bit longer. The elevator shaft is its own separate and sadly concurrent problem. We have had groundwater infiltrating that shaft since this happened. We had a sump pump go out, and we have been working to get that repaired, find out the source of that groundwater. We've got Arrow coming in tomorrow to hopefully identify for us the source of that groundwater and maybe offer us some more long-term solutions. New sump pump going in to replace the damaged one. We did some testing yesterday to make sure that there was no pipe break or anything else. Thankfully, it did test clear, so we didn't have any breaks in the near area that are infiltrating that space, but it has been quite an effort to keep water out of that space. We've had to remove drywall from that section of the building as well. It's been a long and ongoing process as far as the water event. So I will keep everybody posted as that continues. Hopefully you'll see the basement up and operational very soon.
Can I ask a question on that?
Sure.
Under their claim, correct, that it's the water break, all the construction is going to be under an insurance claim, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So yeah, we've already been, we are in conversation with the adjusters. Everything on that front is going well so far. They have been in to review a couple times, so and that portion is looking good with their budget that will be covered. So.
Have you seen it affect your numbers weekly?
Oh, dramatically.
So how are you addressing anyone who wants anything? Can they?
And so we are, and have been since the basement has been closed. If you have items that you'd like us to go get, or just a general idea, we are running down, we are pulling items off the shelves for folks who ask for it. But even that doesn't quite work for everybody. A lot of people really want to browse. We try to address that a little bit by taking some of the shelves like this and sort of recycling the children's items that are circulating just so other folks can maybe grab them and have a little bit to browse upstairs. It's not much, but it is an effort to give folks, the families, some opportunity to get at the children's books. We know everybody wants, so we are trying to deliver what we can to them, but really access to the basement is a huge part of the service we provide to the community on a daily basis. We see a lot less people coming through the door while that access is cut off.
I wonder how the bookmobile could play positively into this. So I just viewed the schedule, and it looks like there are certain times that it goes to other counties. Is there a length of time that the bookmobile stays in those counties and then could serve our community like in the afternoon hours?
So the bookmobile does make numerous stops all over Stark County, and it is accessible during that time, but also we make all of the material while the bookmobile is here in the building accessible to anybody who might need it. You can't walk onto the bookmobile even where it's parked. Well, we could conceivably change that if we had a longer term period where it was here in the building. It's it returns from its routes close to the end of the day. And so we kind of missed the peak time for families, which is, right around the school release, because it doesn't tend to get back from its routes until like 5 o'clock or so. But yeah, not something that we couldn't do like that. Let's see, that has really been the vast majority of my time over the last few weeks, is just trying to handle all the stuff we are dealing with as far as construction and making these changes to the programming calendar and dealing with the basics. So I don't have much else to report at this time. That's really been my life.
Well, we definitely appreciate the time and the many headaches as well as sore bodies. I'm sure you and your staff as things have been shifted and moved. Has the closure, I know that as you've been moving materials and making the materials available from downstairs, has that affected any like staffing? Has anyone been cut hours just to like lack of programming, things like that? Or have we kept everyone?
No, so everybody is still engaged. Most of the programming staff is also, for better or for worse, in the front line as far as moving things around. So shelves, folks have to be relocated. They have been committing a lot of time to helping out with that space and trying to get it so that the folks over Action Cleaning can get access to the walls and clearing out storage space, as well as working on some other projects. We found some really interesting historical documents that we didn't know existed within this building down within one of those storage rooms. So that's going to become a preservation process. We've already touched base with the museum. And so we're working a little bit on that too, with some of the programming teams, because those items need to be encapsulated and preserved. We have records from the library's very beginning that we found down there that are fascinating. So we were excited to find them. We were kind of mortified that we didn't know they were there, but we're going to try to make sure that they are preserved and properly taken care of, and then moved somewhere where other folks can see them, because they're amazing.
A huge thank you to you and your staff, like I said. Anything else for,
Yeah, I would like to, know if there's any update on the finances with the expansion.
Not at this time. This has really been most of my time has been dealing with this. So I have not really been running out and doing any fundraising at this moment. Really trying to focus on the problems we've got here in the building. So.
And, President Kuntz, you missed the minutes.
you're absolutely correct. Thank you. All right, so before we move into unfinished business, we have to approve the minutes from August 13th. Any discussion or edits that you noticed prior to today's meeting?
I'll move to accept the minutes.
All right, we have a motion by Bonnie, a second by Titcomb for the approval of the minutes dated August 13th. Any further discussion? All in favor of the approval of the minutes as presented, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. And motion carries. On to the unfinished business, we have the presented expense report. Open for the discussion or questions on that.
I have a quick question. On the second page of the expense report, almost all the way down, it says Minot Daily News, 8/26/2025 for $299. I'm just wondering, are we advertising in the Minot Daily News as well?
No, that is not an advertisement. That is purchase of an annual subscription to the paper.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
I have a question on the 210 account for the Bartlett and West. I thought we were done with Bartlett and West. I thought that was, we moved on to the J.E. Dunn. Invoices from 5/9/6/6/7/11 and 8/8. And I know that 210 is in a total different account from library funds, I understand that piece of it, I'm just questioning the Bartlett engineering piece.
Those conversations aren't taking place with us anymore, Lisa, that is happening between J.E. Dunn asking for design work and, I unfortunately don't have any more information on those.
So J.E. Dunn's asking Bartlett and West for information?
Either
And Bartlett
information
and
or
West is billing the city of Dickinson?
changes need to happen. Well, it is still on this project. J.E. Dunn is our construction manager, but they're still managing the city project. So yes, it would be a city.
$67,000 is a lot of money to not know why it's getting paid to the previous, because we talked about it, that's why we lost $700,000-800,000 was because of Bartlett and West. So I'm just, why are, is there still, is it been questioned, has it been looked into, what are the answers to that?
You would have to take it up with J.E. Dunn, so I'm not operating any of those expenses.
But I think that I would be overstepping something if I started talking to an architect and the planning people.
I can hit them up if you'd like, but again, it's beyond my scope as well.
Okay,
It is.
so then that goes then to a question we'll have later, that we'll be talking about later in the agenda, but this is presented for us to pay this, but we don't really have an explanation for it.
All those, again, are being paid by the library. It's again running through a city account. It is, as you requested, being shown to us here so that the library board will be informed as to the status of the project, but the library isn't paying for it. The city is.
Still taxpayer money.
Yeah, it's, which part of the eagle are you plucking from?
To be sure, but it's not taxpayer money that we are managing. It is not something I or library staff are choosing to engage with at that point. It's not something that the library board is ordering. These are actions that the city has to take to complete a city project.
So then doesn't that make it, I'll look into my calendar now. So doesn't that make it pretty gray when we have the authority as a board, and I'm not trying to flex and have control and all this, but I'm wondering, is if we're the ones that are supposed to be in charge of the finances, the building, if you look at Century Code, the building, the expansions, the buying of buildings, the leasing, the getting into contracts to expand, we're supposed to be the ones that are approving or disapproving. But the city is managing so much of it, it is so gray, it is such grayness as far as, so what is the library board doing, and why isn't the city just running the library? Why is there a board if by Century Code, we're supposed to be doing so much more than what we're doing, but the city is taking most of those.
And the library board has weighed in on every one of those items, from the construction of the expansion to the creation of our policy to the approval of those budgets. And those are the goals that you guys have. How you're choosing to exercise them is again a question to the board.
Well, we haven't.
These expenses have already been spent.
Yeah.
So to disapprove of them, how would we even do that?
Well, as far as that construction is concerned, again, that's a city project, so the library board is being kept in the loop, but you also wouldn't have any grounds to attempt to approve or disapprove of those expenses.
So
Maybe we can bring Commissioner, speed a little bit, maybe can ask this question for us.
I'll try. Sorry I'm late. I was working on my other job. Where are we at?
I have come to talk a little bit about on the expense report, I don't know what page this is in our packets. There's a significant amount that's paid to Bartlett and West, $67,678.70. But I thought that they were over a year ago out of the whole expansion, but yet we're still paying out. This is not, sorry, I keep getting one of these faulty ones, either that or it just doesn't like to listen to me. the question is that the building expansion, it was, Ian said that it had been approved by the library board in 2017, that expansion. And over the course of all the years, that it's just gone down into, what we're, it went out again, didn't it? Okay, so, I asked for a definition or what that was for, that Bartlett and West. But the 210 account is under the city's purview. It's not the 254, which is the library. So it's very gray on, we're, according to Century Code, are supposed to be managing the funds. We're supposed to be, saying yes, we're supposed to be saying no for things to get spent out. It's even listed in, Century Code when we do get into contracts for building or, leasing or, creation of libraries. It's spelled out what we're supposed to do as a board, but the city as the governing body has all of the authority. There's no authority that sits in this board as far as the finance part of it. So, and I know that, Ian and, President Kuntz, we got together earlier last week, and this is part of that special meeting that we're gonna come into later, that question, to maybe get a little bit more clarification. Because to me, it's really gray. Is it gray to anybody else that where the lines are? Where we're supposed to be following Century Code, and it even has the word exclusively in the Century Code, that we're supposed to be paying the bills and we're supposed